Hey everybody, the Great Dino Ranger here again, back with another review. Today we're going to be taking a look at another figure along with all the Christmas stuff that I've gotten. We're going to be taking a look at the Jurassic World Hammond Collection Ceratosaurus. This is another figure that I was really excited to get, only because it's a Hammond Collection figure and, you know, it's a Ceratosaurus from Jurassic Park 3, so I'm super excited to take a look at it. Yeah, I've seen a lot of pictures and reviews of this thing and it looks awesome. So starting off with the box here, we got the normal Hammond Collection look aesthetic here with the T-Rex skeleton, the Hammond Collection logo, the word Ceratosaurus, the tree outline on the bottom, and then the open window where you can see the figure. Here on the back, we have an awesome render of the Ceratosaurus, along with the logos of the Hammond Collection and Jurassic Park 3, which looks really nice. And then we have a little bio over here with a picture of the Ceratosaurus that says, Ceratosaurus, an unfortunate stench left by the Spinosaurus, turns out to be quite fortunate for Dr. Alan Grant and the others when they come face to face with the Ceratosaurus on Isla Sorna. Obviously, that's very correct. The Ceratosaurus came in to almost eat Alan Grant and the Kirbys, but ran off due to the smell of the Spino poop. And here on the side, we got the Hammond Collection logo. And on the other side, we got the Hammond Collection and Jurassic Park 3 logo, as well as an awesome render of the Ceratosaurus. So let's take this thing out. Alright, so here we have the Hammond Collection Ceratosaurus out of the box. And wow, is this thing amazing. I'm totally super happy with how this figure looks in hand out of the box. I'm beyond words at this point. The Hammond Collection is such a good line. Their detail on all these figures are just amazing, and I can't express how much I love this thing. This is just like, you know, all their past Hammond Collection figures. But yeah, the Ceratosaurus here looks really nice, especially for an animal that's only appeared once in live action in the whole franchise, and it appeared a bunch of times in Camp Cretaceous. But overall, this figure looks really good. I can already tell that the paint job is much better than past Mattel offerings of this dinosaur, especially the detail, which we'll start looking at right now. So here with the head, you can just see the whole head here is just decked out in some nice scaled detail, and you can see the sculpt work around like the face that shows kind of like the skull underneath, which I know would not have happened in real life, but this is Jurassic Park, so this is very accurate to the Jurassic Park design. And yeah, the teeth are nicely sculpted, and you can see here underneath the jaw, there's just more scale and some more nice line work to outline the skull. The skin flaps are nicely sculpted, as well as the roof of the mouth and the tongue, which may not be full of detail, but you know, it's enough to satisfy the person who's buying this. The horn is nicely sculpted. I like the scales that circle around the horn. That's a nice touch. Moving on with the neck, we got the nice spikes going on there, and then underneath here around the throat area is a lot more smoother. And you can see here on the back, it's covered in more spikes, which is very accurate to the dinosaur. And looking at the body here, nice muscle definition around the body, and of course the scale detail. And then here looking at the arms, they're nicely sculpted, nicely covered in detail, and so are the hands. The hands are nicely sculpted as well. Kind of a little too big for my liking, but I think it looks good either way. So, and as you saw, the underneath of the belly was just more smooth line detail, and on the back, just more scale detail. Here on the legs, you got more nice muscle definition all throughout and some really nice scale detail, which actually feels really nice and realistic in some areas. And then the feet are nicely sculpted as well. And here on the tail, you got some more detail. So this detail is constant throughout the entire figure. Same with the underside, which there's a lot of detailed line work on the skin. And then here on the bottoms, the feet are nicely textured as well. So yeah, Mattel put a lot of effort into sculpting these figures, which they do all the time, but with the Hammond Collection figure, it's a little bit extra special. And here on the other side, it's going to be the same thing, especially with the head. The head looks really cool. Probably one of the best parts of this figure. And yeah, and color-wise, as you can see, it is exactly the correct coloration for this dinosaur, the Jurassic Park 3 Ceratosaurus. But yeah, nicely colored. The stripes go all the way to the tail, which you don't usually get all the time with Mattel. But yeah, the color looks really nice. The red could have continued a little bit further, but it's fine the way this looks. I think it looks fine either way. That's just a minor little gripe. Also, another thing too, the markings around the eye. I noticed that in Jurassic Park 3, the Ceratosaurus only had one eye that had markings around it, and then the other one did not. So it was kind of like Blue, how her blue stripe was around her eye on one side and not the other. And also that the Ceratosaurus also had white stripes aligning its mouth, but that's okay if Mattel didn't get that in. I think they perfectly represented this dinosaur very well. Articulation wise, the jaw here, the lower jaw can move independently, as well as the upper jaw. This is something I really wish the Hammond Collection T-Rex had. You can open them up individually, and you can open them up at the same time to make that really wide roar if you wanted to. Here at this part of the back of the head, it can go up about that far and down about that far. So not too much, but some nice little posability there. And it can kind of rotate, but not too much. This part of the neck here can go up and down, and then side to side. So you can get that really nice neck bending positions, which will be good for photography, which I like to do all the time. So yeah, you can see here, you get some nice posability with the neck here. And that's one of the reasons why I love Hammond Collection. Their articulation is just spot on. So you can make it look up, down, left, right, all those areas. The arms here at the shoulder, it can pivot in and out and rotate forward and backwards, but not too much, so don't expect a lot of posability with it. But it can mainly just go pivot in and out. And here at the elbow, it can just move forward and backwards, and it can rotate. Would have been nice to get some wrist articulation, but I think it's fine. I'm not going to worry too much about it. And here with the legs here, the legs can pretty much go 360, though at some points, though, you have to kind of be careful because the body sculpt kind of gets in the way for the movement of the legs, so you don't want to break it or force it. But you get enough range of motion. And they can also pivot in and out, which we've been seeing with these Mattel figures for a really long time now. And it's very useful. And here at the knee, it can go forwards and backwards. And it can also rotate. And here at the ankle, it can also go forwards and backwards. And can also rotate. And then at the feet are pretty much the same thing. Forwards and backwards. And then it can also rotate all the way around 360, which again is really good for posability. So the legs on these Hammond Collection theropods, at least, are really nice. Lots of good posability can come from it. And here at the tail, which does come detached when you get it, can go pretty much full range of motion, up, down, left to right, and can slightly rotate. And it's also made of a softer rubber material, and it is also a bendy wire tail, so you can bend it in many different places as you'd wish. But just don't bend it too much. You don't want to risk of breaking it. So yeah, that's basically it for the articulation. Let's get on with some size comparisons. So starting off, we have a human character, Roland Tembo, and I think these scale up very nicely. And here we have the very first Ceratosaurus that Mattel made back in for their Fallen Kingdom toy line back in 2018, I believe. Yep. It And you can just see the huge progress Mattel has gotten from their very first Ceratosaurus to their most recent one. And I gotta say, the Hammond Collection one blows it out of the water. It is by far the best Ceratosaurus from Mattel. However, the older one does have some things that aren't present on the newer one that I wish it had. But first of all, color-wise, I could not believe how much the old Ceratosaurus was just yellow in color. That honestly does not look very good the more I look at it after these many years of having it and then having this new one in hand. Yeah, the colors were a little too yellow for my liking. Another thing, the older Ceratosaurus had that red coloration continue, which is something I kind of wish the Hammond Collection one had, but it's not going to keep me from disliking the figure. I won't ever dislike this Hammond Collection Ceratosaurus. I think it's perfect, but I'm just saying it would have been nice for the red to continue forward. Another thing I noticed is that the hands, the arms are good, but the older Ceratosaurus's hands are a little bit better proportioned and a correct small size than the Hammond Collection. The Hammond Collection Ceratosaurus's hands are a little bit too big, but I will say its nails are painted, which is a plus because the old one did not have that. Another thing as well is, I gotta say this, but the older Ceratosaurus probably has the better head than the Hammond Collection. Hammond Collection wins for sculpt and articulation, but in terms of film accuracy, the older one has the more film accurate head with the more shorter snout, roundish, box-like head. The Hammond Collection one, actually, the head is a little bit more elongated and represents the Jurassic World Evolution Ceratosaurus a little bit more, as well as a real Ceratosaurus in real life had that elongated head, which is something that could be different. And here with this new Ceratosaurus from the Dinoscape line, I do love the darker colors on this one, but as you can see, it does have the correct head than the Hammond Collection. Also, not to mention, the Hammond Collection has too big of teeth than the Jurassic Park version. It matches more towards the real-life Ceratosaurus. So, you know, all these Ceratosauruses have their ups and downs, but it's really cool to see how these compare. This Dinoscape one, I love the darker tones, but man, I look at how unfinished the paint job is on the second half. The Hammond Collection one has paint all throughout, and it looks really nice. And yeah, that's basically it pretty much. I mean, I guess I just wish the Hammond Collection had a little bit more rounder, shorter head, but I think it looks really nice either way. The Evolution Ceratosaurus is pretty good too. So, you know, I think we all kind of win here in some way. So here's a shot with all three Ceratosauruses that Mattel has made. Not every single one. I know there was a brown one back in 2019 for the Dino Rivals line, and then another green Ceratosaurus for the Dino Escape line, but those ones are all repaints from the two older Ceratosauruses here. And the brown one I do have, I just didn't bring it out, and then the green one I didn't even care to buy. But here are all the Ceratosauruses of this similar paint scheme, and I think they look really nice. This is actually a pretty cool way to represent three different individuals, which look really cool. But yeah, out of all these, the older ones might have the better head, but overall, the Hammond Collection is the best Ceratosaurus that Mattel has made. But yeah, I think these look really cool together, and can't wait to see if Mattel will make any more. So everyone, that's about to wrap it up for this review. I hope you guys enjoyed. My final thoughts on this figure are that I really love this thing. As I said before, best Ceratosaurus figure. Might be a few gripes here and there, like I said when I was doing the comparisons, but overall, this is the best Ceratosaurus figure, and I can't wait to start taking pictures with it in the summertime when we start getting warmer weather here in Colorado. But yeah, best Ceratosaurus figure, as I keep on saying. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and I'll see you guys again for the next one.